The major theft operation at Macy's was a complex crime for everyone, but not for loss prevention specialist Sarah. Her ability to solve the organized crime network, tactical analysis, and coordination revealed her identity as a former Air Force Security Forces investigator. Welcome to Behind Quiet History. Before we begin this powerful tale of hidden expertise and quiet investigation, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who continue serving others long after their official careers end. The Macy's flagship store in Herald Square stood as one of New York City's most iconic retail destinations, attracting millions of visitors each year to its historic 10 floors of fashion, cosmetics, and luxury goods. The massive department store covering an entire city block represented both the pinnacle of American retail culture and a prime target for sophisticated criminal enterprises seeking to exploit its vast inventory and constant flow of customers. Sarah Chen had been working as a loss prevention specialist at this location for 5 years, responsible for identifying, investigating, and preventing theft in one of the most challenging retail environments in the world. At 42 years old, she was considered one of the store's most effective security professionals, with a track record of successful investigations and theft prevention that had saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sarah's approach to loss prevention was methodical and comprehensive in ways that distinguished her from typical retail security personnel. She treated each case like a professional investigation, gathering evidence, analyzing patterns, and building comprehensive profiles of suspected shoplifters and organized retail crime operations. Her reports were detailed, well-documented, and presented with a level of professionalism that impressed both store management and law enforcement partners. What her colleagues and supervisors didn't know was that Sarah Chen had spent 20 years in the United States Air Force, the last 12 as a security forces investigator, specializing in criminal investigations, fraud detection, and organized crime operations on military installations. From 1995 to 2015, she had investigated everything from simple theft cases to complex international smuggling operations that threatened national security. Sarah's expertise in criminal investigation was comprehensive and professionally developed. She held advanced certifications in forensic investigation, evidence collection, and criminal analysis that had taken years to earn through military training programs. Her knowledge of investigative techniques, surveillance methods, and criminal behavior patterns was at the level of federal law enforcement professionals. Her transition to civilian retail security had been carefully planned but emotionally challenging. After retiring from the Air Force in 2015 with full benefits and commendations for distinguished service, Sarah had struggled to find meaningful employment that utilized her specialized investigative skills. The civilian law enforcement system was competitive and political in ways that made it difficult for military investigators to transition their expertise to police work. Working at Macy's allowed Sarah to continue using her investigative skills while avoiding the bureaucracy and politics of civilian law enforcement. The position provided steady income, benefits, and the opportunity to work in an environment where her knowledge of criminal behavior and investigation techniques was valuable, even if her full qualifications weren't officially recognized. Sarah brought her Air Force investigative expertise to retail loss prevention with characteristic precision. She approached each suspected theft case as a formal investigation, gathering evidence according to legal standards, documenting everything with military thoroughness, and analyzing criminal behavior using techniques developed for much more serious offenses. Her understanding of organized crime operations allowed her to identify patterns that typical retail security might miss. Sarah could distinguish between opportunistic shoplifters and professional thieves working as part of larger criminal enterprises. She recognized the signs of organized retail crime networks that used sophisticated methods to steal merchandise for resale in illegal markets. The store's theft prevention statistics improved dramatically under Sarah's watch. Her investigations resulted in higher conviction rates because her evidence collection and case documentation met the standards required for successful prosecution. Law enforcement officers who worked with her noted the professional quality of her investigative work and often commented that her skills exceeded those of many police detectives. Sarah's military background occasionally surfaced in ways that surprised her supervisors. When the store implemented new security technology, she demonstrated an unusual ability to quickly understand surveillance systems and identify potential security vulnerabilities. During training sessions with local police, her knowledge of investigative procedures and evidence handling exceeded what most retail security personnel would possess. The transformation began in November when Sarah encountered a theft operation that would test every skill she had developed during 20 years of Air Force investigations. The case started as a routine shoplifting incident but quickly revealed itself to be part of a sophisticated, organized crime network that was targeting high-end retail stores throughout Manhattan. The initial incident involved a well-dressed woman who attempted to steal several expensive handbags from the designer accessories department. The theft itself seemed straightforward, but Sarah's trained eye noticed details that suggested the woman was operating as part of a larger, more organized operation. The suspect's behavior patterns, clothing choices, and movement through the store indicated professional training in retail theft techniques. Her method of concealing merchandise, her awareness of security camera locations, and her planned escape route suggested someone with extensive experience in organized retail crime rather than an opportunistic shoplifter. Sarah's investigation revealed that the woman was part of a multi-person team that had been systematically targeting luxury retailers throughout the city. The operation involved sophisticated coordination, with different team members playing specific roles in surveillance, theft execution, and merchandise removal from the store. A normal loss prevention specialist might have focused solely on the individual theft incident and turned the case over to police for routine prosecution. Sarah's Air Force training, however, had taught her to look for larger patterns and investigate the organizational structure behind individual criminal acts. Her analysis of security footage revealed a complex operation involving at least 6 individuals who had been conducting surveillance of the store for several weeks. The team had studied security procedures, identified vulnerable merchandise locations, and developed detailed plans for theft operations that could remove thousands of dollars worth of goods in coordinated strikes. Sarah recognized that she was looking at a professional, organized retail crime network that posed a significant threat not only to Macy's but to retailers throughout the region. The sophistication of their operations, the value of merchandise they were targeting, and the coordination of their activities indicated a criminal enterprise that required professional law enforcement response. For the first time in 5 years, Sarah Chen stopped limiting herself to routine retail loss prevention and became what she had always been, a criminal investigator with 20 years of experience in dismantling organized crime operations. Her approach to the case was comprehensive and professional. Sarah implemented surveillance techniques she had learned during Air Force investigations, documented evidence according to federal standards, and began building a criminal intelligence profile that would support prosecution under organized crime statutes rather than simple shoplifting charges. Sarah's investigation revealed that the retail theft network was much larger than initially suspected. The operation involved multiple teams working different stores, sophisticated money laundering schemes to dispose of stolen merchandise, and connections to other criminal enterprises operating throughout the Northeast. Her analysis identified the organizational structure of the crime network, including leadership hierarchy, operational roles, and financial arrangements. Sarah's investigation uncovered communication patterns, meeting locations, and coordination methods that allowed law enforcement to understand how the enterprise operated and how it could be disrupted. The evidence Sarah compiled was comprehensive and professionally presented. Her investigation included surveillance documentation, financial analysis, organizational charts, and operational assessments that exceeded what typical retail investigations would produce. Her work provided law enforcement with everything needed to pursue federal charges against the entire criminal network. Sarah's coordination with law enforcement agencies was seamless and professional. Detectives who worked with her immediately recognized her expertise and began treating her as a colleague rather than a retail security employee. Her briefings and evidence presentations were delivered with the authority and competence of an experienced investigator. The organized retail crime network was dismantled through a coordinated operation involving the NYPD, FBI, and multiple district attorney offices. Sarah's investigation provided the foundation for successful prosecutions that resulted in significant prison sentences and financial penalties for the criminal enterprise. But Sarah's cover as a simple loss prevention specialist was completely blown. Her investigative expertise, professional coordination with law enforcement, and obvious knowledge of organized crime operations made it impossible to maintain the fiction that she was just another retail security employee. Store management learned about Sarah's Air Force background and immediately recognized that they had been employing one of the most qualified criminal investigators in the retail industry without knowing it. Her expertise was suddenly in high demand from corporate security, law enforcement agencies, and other retailers seeking to improve their loss prevention capabilities. The media attention surrounding the case brought Sarah's story to public attention. The narrative of the Macy's loss prevention specialist, who turned out to be a retired Air Force investigator, became a symbol of hidden expertise and continued service that inspired other veterans to share their own stories of post-military careers. Sarah struggled with the sudden exposure after 5 years of carefully maintained anonymity. She had chosen retail security specifically to use her skills in a low-profile environment that avoided the pressure and politics of her military career. The attention made her uncomfortable in ways that investigating organized crime had never done. But the response from the retail security community was overwhelmingly positive. Instead of feeling that she had been hiding her qualifications, colleagues and industry professionals expressed appreciation for the expertise she had brought to improving loss prevention effectiveness while maintaining her professional standards. Macy's corporate security offered Sarah a position as a regional loss prevention director that would utilize her investigative expertise while providing significantly better compensation and professional recognition. Other major retailers reached out with consulting opportunities that would allow her to help develop industry-wide improvements in organized retail crime prevention. Sarah considered the corporate offers carefully, weighing her preference for hands-on investigative work against the opportunity to influence loss prevention practices across the entire retail industry. The organized crime case had reminded her of the satisfaction that came from using her skills to protect people and businesses from sophisticated criminal enterprises. The company created a new position for Sarah that combined her investigative expertise with training and consultation responsibilities. Her role involved developing advanced loss prevention protocols, training other security professionals, and serving as a liaison with law enforcement agencies for complex criminal investigations. Sarah's success became a model for how military investigators could transition their skills to civilian security careers that continued to serve the public interest. Her demonstration that Air Force investigative training could be effectively adapted to retail loss prevention inspired programs that helped other veterans find meaningful post-military employment. The store's security effectiveness improved significantly as Sarah implemented investigative protocols and training programs based on her Air Force experience. Her knowledge of organized crime operations and investigation techniques helped create loss prevention systems that were more effective at identifying and preventing sophisticated theft operations. Law enforcement agencies throughout New York began consulting with Sarah on retail crime cases that involved organized criminal enterprises. Her unique combination of military investigative training and intimate knowledge of retail operations made her an invaluable resource for understanding how organized crime networks targeted retail establishments. Sarah's story spread throughout the veteran community and attracted attention from other former military investigators who had found creative ways to continue using their specialized skills in civilian careers. Her success demonstrated that the investigative expertise developed in military service could find meaningful applications in protecting civilian businesses and communities. Years later, Sarah would reflect on the unexpected direction her post-military career had taken. She had expected to spend her civilian years handling routine shoplifting cases and maintaining basic retail security. Instead, she had found herself at the center of one of the most significant organized retail crime investigations in New York's recent history. The skills she had developed during 20 years of Air Force investigations, evidence collection, criminal analysis, organizational assessment, and case coordination proved to be perfectly suited to combating sophisticated retail crime operations. The same abilities that had made her an effective military investigator made her an exceptional civilian security professional. Sarah's approach to loss prevention emphasized the importance of treating retail crime as genuine criminal investigation rather than simple security enforcement. Her military experience had taught her that effective investigation required systematic analysis, comprehensive documentation, and professional coordination with law enforcement agencies. The retail industry began adopting Sarah's investigative methods as standard practice for addressing organized crime threats. Her protocols for evidence collection, case documentation, and law enforcement coordination became models for loss prevention professionals throughout the country. Sarah's transformation from hidden retail security specialist to recognized criminal investigation expert demonstrated that specialized skills developed in military service could have significant applications in protecting civilian businesses and communities. Her success inspired other veterans to consider how their expertise might be adapted to serve the security needs of American businesses. The loss prevention specialist who solved the organized crime network proved that service doesn't end with military retirement, that investigative expertise can be adapted to many different contexts, and that the most important contributions often come from those who use their professional skills to protect others from sophisticated criminal threats. Sarah Chen had spent 20 years investigating criminal enterprises that threatened military installations and national security. In civilian life, she found a way to continue that mission by protecting retail businesses and customers from organized crime networks that threatened economic security and community safety. Her story reminds us that expertise takes many forms, that service can continue in unexpected careers, and that the most valuable protection often comes from those who use their professional knowledge to defend others from threats that most people never see coming. The retail security specialist who recognized organized crime patterns had spent decades learning to investigate criminal enterprises and build cases that could withstand legal scrutiny. Her transition from military investigation to civilian retail security proved that the fundamental mission of protecting people from criminal threats could continue in any environment where professional expertise was needed and valued.